As I've been scrolling through Twitter, an interesting video came up in my feed where there were takes that RJ Barrett is just a role player. People are really saying RJ Barrett's ceiling is low, and obviously Barrett laughed it off, but that didn't stop people from making all these false narratives about how Barrett is inefficient, thus making a quote-unquote bad player. But people who value context and watch film know this is far from the truth. Let's get into it. Start by debunking the narrative that RJ Barrett is an inefficient and bad scorer. True shooting is a great efficiency stat, as we know it values threes and free throws to its full extent. But let's not act like true shooting is the end-all be-all for scoring. I understand that RJ Barrett's true shooting percentage is about 5% below league average, but again, context justifies these splits. Things true shooting does not measure is quality of shots, why you're taking those shots, the system, as well as how tightly you are being defended. These factors actually lowers Barrett's efficiencies. For one, we should all realize how terrible of a coach Tom Thibodeau offensively is. He overruns isolation basketball plays the majority of the time. No real 5-man motion in the offense, no offensive schemes, minimal off-ball movement, and when the Knicks run isolation offense, it's pretty much just giving the offensive ball handler the basketball and getting out the way. Despite ranking top 10 in isolation possessions and frequency, the Knicks rank bottom 5 in isolation percentile and efficiency. This is extremely unfair for RJ Barrett, and watching the film further proves how he never really gets the right matchups like other creators do, and there's absolutely no offensive design for him to get to his spots. On top of this, the Knicks are bottom 10 in assists in the NBA. RJ as a wing does not have any playmakers alongside him to take the load off of him, and no other young wings really play with score-first guards and ball-dominant bigs like Barrett does, so the system is set up unfairly for RJ Barrett. Furthermore, when talking about the shots contested, RJ Barrett is the 8th most contested scorer with a space of 2 feet, ranks top 15 when it comes to attempted shots that are contested from 2 to 4 feet, barely cracks top 50 when it comes to shots contested from 4 to 6 feet, which is considered to be open, and better yet, doesn't even crack the top 50 in wide open shots from 6+ feet per game. So yes folks, the efficiency narrative has been debunked. About 56% of RJ's shots are fairly or heavily contested, which goes to show that film really does matter. Now onto how good RJ Barrett really is. His 26-3 splits does not do him enough justice. He's clearly an elite defender and perhaps one of the best wing defenders in the league. A player who plays with a high motor, is extremely good at closing out, has elite positioning, is a top tier post defender, an underrated secondary rim protector, can lock down opposing ball handlers one-on-one, and is an elite help defender proven by his ability to cut lanes, guard players off ball, and uses 6'10" wingspan to disrupt defenses. In fact, RJ Barrett is one of the best on-ball defenders and ball stoppers in the NBA, as he ranks in the 87th percentile in terms of isolation defense, which is kind of insane when considering he's always guarding the opposing best wing. RJ's overall athleticism and ability to be attached to a player, whether that is off or on the ball, with elite level shot contest IQ, screen navigation, and active hands, makes him a borderline all defensive talent, and is why I think he can become a two-way superstar. RJ doesn't really get credited enough for his defense, but offensively there are a lot more to talk about rather than just debunking narratives. I mean, the narrative that he's a mid to below average playmaker even right now is absurd to me. Yes, his assist count at 3 isn't ideal, but the definition of playmaking is creating advantages for your teammates and your offense with things like off-ball gravity, scoring gravity, rim pressure, and also passing vision ability, and IQ. RJ Barrett can see the floor really well and has solid ball control, and while yes he averages 2.2 turnovers per game, that is actually pretty solid when considering how much time he's on the court and his time spent with the basketball. He uses a nasty spin move, change of direction, and smart pace of play to create separation with the handle from his defenders. And he can really easily break down defenders with his wizardy play with the basketball. He's really good at dumping off a pass to a cutting and rolling big, providing elite pick and roll playmaking, and uses his strong frame and long arms to create easier ability to skip passes to the corner when driving. Not only does RJ have the ability of creating space with the usage of his handle, but also the rim pressure that he offers. His 12.8 drives per game ranks top 25 in the NBA, and film is the easy and best way to analyze RJ. His ability to make long strides, shiftiness, and uses sheer strength to body his way to the paint is a great way to intimidate defenders and gather defenders to close in on him, and thus opening up the floor for shooters. As a scorer, RJ may be inconsistent at times, but he can willingly get to the rim and use a variety of different ways to score under the rim, has an underrated postgame when used, and is a great shooter off the catch, and on top of that, has a solid but inconsistent in-between game. All in all, does RJ have his fair share of flaws? Of course he does. But he still has time to have great to elite vision, improve as a secondary rim protector, tighten up his handle a bit more, get a better touch under the rim, and have a consistent outside and in-between game. But these are flaws that may be common for young stars. Remember, RJ is only 22, so he still has a long time and is far from his prime. The sky's the limit for RJ Barrett, and he hasn't even had his breakout season. I cannot wait to see how well he's about to fit with a playmaker like Brunson. But what do you guys think? Will RJ become a superstar in the league one day? Leave your comments down below, and that is it for today.